And so we're going to start with Florida. We have the NAACP hopes that travelers educate themselves on what is happening, and if they do come to Florida, join them in raising their voices against the troubling developments impacting our Black, LGBTQ plus, and immigrant communities. The NAACP issued a formal travel advisory for Florida on Saturday in response to what the organization has described as Governor DeSantis' aggressive attempts to erase Black history and to restrict diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in Florida schools. We know they've been working on that for quite a while to, finally, we had access with the internet and technology and all of that. They couldn't hide all of our accomplishments as Black people. Like, even me, I'm learning, and I really want to work on, in February of next year, I'm really going to work on having a whole series of like breaking down Black history and some of the inventions. And because I've been learning so much, even more recently, about some of the most basic inventions that we have, like our HVAC system, our heating and ventilation and air conditioning systems in our homes was patented and designed by a Black lady. Like, who knew that? Like, we know about some of us know about the stoplight and know, but a lot of these inventions that, we all benefit for and take for granted were invented by African Americans. And they like to keep that history away from us. And so this is what he's doing. Well, they're all, the Republicans in general are doing. It says some of the group's top leaders called the move a direct rebuke to DeSantis' frequent attacks on the most marginalized groups, which they see as a clear indication of what he would continue to do if he were elected president. We don't need no more of the Trump situation, but that's what they're trying to go for. DeSantis is expected to enter the 2024 race this week. I'm not sure if I missed it as of yet, but I haven't heard anything about him making it official yet. It says the NAACP, and let me know in the chat if I've just missed it. NAACP President and CEO Derek Johnson said, under the leadership of Governor DeSantis, the state of Florida has become hostile to Black Americans and in direct conflict with the Democrats' ideal that our union was founded upon. And it says he should know that democracy will prevail because its defenders are prepared to stand up and fight. We're not backing down, and we encourage our allies to join us in the battle for the soul of our nation. The soul of our nation was actually built on what he's trying to do, to be honest. Like, let's have that conversation, and then we can just kind of reform and restructure, because that's what needs to happen. Says this is how he looks at us, and anyone who continues to follow this man and doesn't say anything stands with him. I would agree with that. The advisory put forth by the NAACP on Saturday joins the League of the United Latino American Citizens and Latino Civil Rights Organization, which issued a travel warning last Wednesday, and Equality Florida, an LGBTQ advocacy group, which issued its warning on last month. So thankfully, at least these organizations and these various groups are joining together because there's power in number. We do know that. And it says the travel advisory said in part, this is just part of what it said, and I quote, before traveling to Florida, please understand that the state of Florida devalues and marginalizes the contributions of and the challenges faced by African Americans and other communities of color. And it says the alert calls out DeSantis' aggressive attempts to erase Black history and to restrict diversity programs in Florida schools. We talked about that. And it says, once again, hate-inspired state leaders have chosen to put politics over people, and Governor Ron DeSantis and the state of Florida have engaged in a blatant war against principles of diversity and inclusion and rejected our shared identities in appeal to a dangerous extremist minority. And it says that Florida is home to more than 22 million people, 17% of whom are African American, according to the latest census data. Oh, another part of this is saying the governor openly mocked the notion that any kind of travel advisory would be effective, calling it a joke during a news conference the day after the NAACP conference in March. But you know, that's just how they do it. They take us as a joke, and then we show that there's power in numbers, because the truth is the best way to hit them is in the pocket. They said the advisory for Florida is seen as one that could greatly affect the state's tourism, one of its largest industries. Last year alone, nearly 140 million tourists visited Florida, the most in the state history, according to Visit Florida, the state's tourism site. Additionally, tourism supports 1.7 million full-time and part-time jobs and visitors, and spent $102 billion in Florida in 2021, says Melba Perlson, a Miami-based civil rights and criminal law attorney specializing in policy, sees that the advisory is a definitive way to affect a state where it hurts most in their pockets. And it says, while it is unfortunate, we and other groups had to take a step. It is critical for people considering traveling to Florida to know the agenda that they are supporting with their dollars. And there are mixed reactions, of course, because you have, says news of the advisory has divided parts of the state, with some seeing the need for immediate actions and others seeing it as a ploy. One of the politicians was Byron Donalds, a Republican, called the advisory really stupid. It says he continued to say, I don't even know what the NAACP is talking about, because this is made up. None of this exists. Who is black? Oh, he's black on top of that. Wow. And he said this on Fox and Friends on Monday. This is silly and it's dumb. It's political. It makes no sense. But it makes sense to erase, you know, people of color and marginalized people. Okay. All right. Do you? Says the other people who have a mixed reaction to this, of course, would be the owners of businesses, and Black owners of restaurants and businesses have also shared concerns about what the advisory could mean for their community, for their businesses that depend on tourism. And one owner, Miss Aikens, owners of Nikki's Place. Y'all let me know if y'all know about Nikki's Place in the chat. Nikki's Place in Orlando said that despite having built a strong reputation for almost 2.5 decades, she believes that any kind of advisory would be devastating for her business. She was quoted as saying, it would be very, very detrimental to us because everybody who comes from out of town, they really do support us in a way that some of our locals can't support all the time. Now, I've been to Florida many times, and I don't even know this place. Y'all let me know. I hope one of y'all know about Nikki's. What is it? What kind of food they do? Is it good? Maybe she's the sweetie pies of Florida. Y'all let me know. For Lewis, she said the potential sacrifice for businesses in the short term is worth the long-term gains, which she said affects everyone. And is also quoted as saying, lastly, we are citizens of the United States and we have rights, but because of DeSantis' insecurities in his life, I love that. That's a read. He took it upon himself to condemn certain people. She said, ultimately, this is an injustice to all of us. I would agree with that. And I would definitely agree with, because of his insecurities in life. Actually, I believe that all of them, all of this hate towards people of Black and brown descent is all based on insecurities of themselves. They don't know who they are. They have no real self-worth, and therefore they have to suppress others in order to feel worthy of existing. Just my thoughts. So I'm going to put a quick little poll, and then I'm going to read some comments. Y'all know I love this little poll feature. I'm such a nerd. Let me know, will you pause on visiting Florida in protest if you don't already live there? And if you live there, are you going to move because of all of this? Yeah, this man is crazy, and it's crazier that he has supporters. Yeah, it's Donald Trump. I mean, we can go, the list can go on and on about people who are flying monkeys and follow these people who are, you know, that ish crazy. It's really, and uneducated. Byron from Florida has been banned from the family reunion. Is this the cookout? You talking about the cookout? Let's see. So far for the poll, I don't know if it's still, it looks like, yeah, it look like I can end the poll. 74% of you are saying that you will, okay, here it is. 74% of you are saying that you will put a pause on visiting Florida in protest. 25% are saying no. I don't know. I would be interested in, is it because you have family there? You don't feel like this is worthwhile? I personally will put a pause on, and no offense to my Florida people, but just in support of, because we do know that based on history that our real power is our money. They ignore everything else about us, but when we pull our money, which is a huge resource for them, that's when we see action. The civil rights movement proved that with the bus boycott. Took them a year, but we literally bankrupted a bus company for a city. Took that in order to get them to, actually take some level of action. Lydia Jones says, I have too much family in Florida. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Some people may have the, stance of I have family there, or I have, property there, et cetera, et cetera. He's destroying his own state who does that. Lydia, one of the things that I learned a while back, this was a couple of years ago, is that when it comes to people of wealth, when you get to those levels, these really rich people and people connected like him, not saying he's really rich yet, but he will be based on all his shenanigans of doing these dirty deeds for the people in real power. What I found out is that they don't consider themselves citizens of the state that they're in or even the country. They consider themselves citizens of the world. So they don't care about messing up, laws and regulations and things hurting us. All they care about is what power or what financial gain they can get from it. And then they walk away from it. They'll move to a different state. They'll move to a different continent, or they're already, have properties in other places. They could really give a damn about that. That's what we think of, because this is, for the most of us, the state we live in, et cetera, or the country even, is all encompassing for us. That's our world. But for them, the world is their oyster, so to speak. So sad, but true. It is beyond me how upset people are about the travel advisory, but not upset about the reason behind the advisory. Exactly. Yes, that's a great point. And it's a shame that we're even put in this position. DeSantis wears kitten heel boots. That's his first time. Is he little? Is he short? Is he like the height of Prince? Now I haven't paid zero attention to him. Like, I know of him. I've heard his name. Haven't followed his politics. Now I will, because it's on my radar. I mean, I've heard things, but is he a little man? Is he like Prince? Just he wears the boots. I see I guess I'm assuming that's his wife in the background. She looks very tiny. So, and now looking at the perspective, he looked like he ain't that much bigger than him. That's funny though. Short man complex. Okay, so that takes us to our next topic,